Hello everyone, my name is Aarti and you are watching HW News. Days after Sanjay Raut was on ED scanner for allegedly 1,000 crore scam, now the ShivSena MP has released a letter bomb in which he has claimed that ED officials are going around and threatening and harassing his family members, relatives and those who he transacted with years ago. ShivSena MP Sanjay Raut on Tuesday wrote to Rajya Sabha Chairman Venkaiah Naidu alleging that the Enforcement Directorate has been harassing him and his family after he refused to help in toppling the Maharashtra government. The sensational claim was made in the letter, the 4-page letter that he wrote today morning to Venkaiah Naidu. He said in the letter that the ED and other investigating agency officials are now reduced to puppets of their political masters, and also added that even the officials have admitted that they have been asked by their bosses to fix me, that is, fix Sanjay Raut. Sanjay Raut made the sensational claims, adding that he was threatened with imprisonment if he refuses to help in forcing a mid-term election in the state. Now, the fact that Maharashtra is ruled by Mahavikas Aghadi, after the Maharashtra elections in 2019, both the ShivSena and the Bharatiya Janata Party parted ways with each other, and ShivSena later on formed the government with rival parties, Congress and NCP. And now together these three parties called as MVA, that is Maharashtra Vikas Aghadi. The government of this Mahavikas Aghadi rules the state of Maharashtra. It has been often alleged that the BJP, which is now sitting in the opposition, is trying to topple this government, and the statements by the leaders of BJP in Maharashtra have also in the past suggested that the government may fall in Maharashtra anytime soon. However, it has been more than 2 years since then. The government is still up and running. Now, let us read what exactly Sanjay Raut has written in the letter. Now, this letter is 4 pages long. However, I am just going to read the important parts of this entire letter. There are several pointers that have been made in this letter. Let us go read one by one each of the pointer, the important highlights from each of the pointer. So, Sanjay Raut writes, ever since ShivSena parted ways with the BJP in the state of Maharashtra, we find ShivSena MPs and leaders being systematically targeted by using law enforcement agencies such as Enforcement Directorate being let loose against us, and in the process Enforcement Directorate personnel are leaving no stone unturned to intimidate, harass our legislators, MPs, political leaders as well as their relatives, friends and acquaintances. He further says that Money Laundering Act, which was brought to the statute book with effect from 17th of January 2003 with the object of preventing money laundering and to provide for confiscation of property derived from or involved in money laundering, etc. Any criminal statute has to be with prospective effect, and which would mean that the act of alleged money laundering taking place after 17th of January 2003 can alone be subjected to the investigation. However, transactions which are decades old and have nothing to do with the money laundering are taken into investigation with oblique and ulterior motive of harassing and terrorizing political opponents. So basically, he is trying to say that the act was brought in 2003. However, it applies to all the transactions that have happened after 2003, but the Enforcement Directorate is going around and digging old transactions which were dated back to even before 2003, and they are applying this Money Laundering Act on those transactions as well. Let us see further. He says that about a month ago, in which he explains what exactly happened to him. He says that about a month ago, I was approached by certain people and was told to assist them in toppling the state government in Maharashtra. They wanted me to be instrumental in such endeavor so that the state could be forced into midterm election. I refused to be a party to any such clandestine agenda, upon which he was warned that he would meet the same fate of former Union Railway Minister who was sent behind bars. He was told that apart from him, two other senior ministers in the cabinet of the state of Maharashtra as well as two senior leaders in Maharashtra would also be sent behind the bars under the PMLA Act. He further explains in the letter the transaction which are under ED scanner now. He says that his family owns some land at Alibag which was purchased about 17 years ago. The area of the land is about 1 acre and persons who sold the land to his family nearly 2 decades ago are now being called up and being harassed by the ED officials, and they are being asked to give statements against Sanjay Raut. He further says that the ED personnel have allegedly asked them to give statement against Sanjay Raut to the effect that they received some cash from Sanjay Raut over and above the agreement value. He further says that this is also happening to other people who had sold a similarly small piece of land to him and his family in 2012 and 13. Day after day, ED and other agencies' personnel call these people and threaten them with jail and attachment of their personal properties unless they give statements against me. This is what Sanjay Raut writes in his letter. He further says a very personal incident that he has cited in the letter is about his daughter's wedding. He says that his daughter got married in 2021 last year, and he says that ED and other agencies are now calling up and threatening the vendors and decorators of the wedding to give statements against Sanjay Raut. He alleges that the ED officials are asking these vendors to make a statement that they received 50 lakh rupees in cash from Sanjay Raut. So this is the letter that he has written to Rajya Sabha chairman Venkaiah Naidu. He further says that ED and other agencies have unlawfully picked up 28 people so far. They have made them attend the ED office and sit in a cabin where the threats are administered on them. And if they don't give any statement against Sanjay Raut, they are being threatened that they would be arrested. He further says that the ED and other agency personnel are now reduced to puppets of their political masters. In fact, some of the ED and other agency officials have themselves confessed to the very people they are threatening, allegedly threatening, and they are summoning, that they have been asked by their bosses to fix me, which is fix Sanjay Raut. He further says that he is not scared and he is not going to bow down and he will continue to speak the truth. However, he says that the harassment and the threatening of his family members, friends, relatives and all those people who he transacted with speaks in volume of decay in our political system. Well, he ends the letter with a popular poem by German pastor Martin Niemöller, who said, who did not speak out against the Nazi rule at the right time and wrote confessional poem as a token of his regret. The poem goes like this. First they came for the socialist and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionist and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. When they came for me and there was no one left to speak for me. He has CC'd this letter to at least 11 other parliament MPs, including Sharad Pawar from NCP, Rahul Gandhi, Derek O'Brien and several other opposition MPs, 11 of them. Now, after he shared this letter copy on Twitter, several leaders from the Mahavikas Aghadi came out in his support. ShivSena leader Priyanka Chaturvedi said that we all know that ED is now BJP's arsenal against opposition, but this harassment and targeting in their attempt to silence strong opposition voices will fail. Maharashtra Congress spokesperson Atul Londe also asked if there was a BJP government and ShivSena government in the state, would ED, IT, CBI take action against their leaders as they are taking now? NCP leader Nawab Malik also supported the allegations of Sanjay Raut and alleged that Devendra Fadnavis, former Chief Minister of Maharashtra, is behind the ED blackmail racket. Now, this is what has happened, but let us also understand what exactly is the case and what is happening with Sanjay Raut's case and ED. Now, Sanjay Raut is under ED scanner in connection with its probe in the 1034 crore floor space index, which is FSI fraud at Patra Chaul in Goregaon, allegedly perpetrated by Guru Ashish Construction Private Limited, which is a subsidiary of Housing Development and Infrastructure Limited, HDIL. and businessman Praveen Raut. The ED arrested Praveen Raut on Wednesday after several hours of questioning and remanded him to custody till February 10th. The ED has found that Guru Ashish Construction was given a contract from the MHADA a few years ago to redevelop the Patrachal in Goregaon West in suburban Mumbai. Praveen Raut allegedly negotiated the deal between the MHADA and the HDIL. The ED has alleged that the company had to develop around 3,000 flats for people living in Patrachal and use the rest of the land for private sale. However, Guru Ashish Construction allegedly fraudulently sold the FSI worth 1,034 crore rupees to different builders without building the mandatory tenements for the people living in the chawl. Now, the HDIL is also accused of 4,300 crore fraud at the Punjab and Maharashtra Cooperative Bank, which we all know about. The ED apparently found out that Praveen Raut transferred around 1.6 crore to his wife Madhuri Raut, who is a business partner of Sanjay Raut's wife Varsha Raut. Of this 1.6 crore rupees, Madhuri allegedly transferred around 55 lakh rupees to Varsha as an interest-free loan. This money was then allegedly invested by Varsha in buying a flat at Dadar. So this is what the whole story is. Sanjay Raut, however, has alleged that whatever transactions are there are all legitimate, and the Enforcement Directorate is digging out all these transactions and harassing his family members, relatives and all these people who he transacted with an agenda. Do let us know what you think about this in the comment box below. For more news and updates, you can log on to www.hwnews.in.